Welcome back to the channel. It's just me today, which I say it's just me, but a lot of times it ends up just being me and Ivy, but it'll just be me. I figured with Ivy's first birthday being in a week from today, it would be fun to do a little recap of the first year of motherhood. So obviously Ivy is our first kid, and when I got pregnant with her, I honestly, first of all, I was shocked because I felt like I just didn't know when we were gonna end up starting a family. And so when we decided to, I finally got that positive pregnancy test, I was like, oh great, now what do I do? So the whole time I was pregnant, I was just kind of like, I really hope I can figure this out because I have no idea how to take care of a kid 24/7. And I've kind of always been a nanny. And so I was a little worried to have my own kid because after a long day with my nanny kids, I was so ready to go home and get a break. And I was like, when I have my own kid, I don't get to just be like, all right, bye. That's the end of the day. I'm done. But when it's your own child, you love them so much that you do get exhausted, obviously, but it's not that tiring because you just love them so much. The other night we had put her to bed and Garrett looked at me and was like, I just miss her. And I'm like, me too. And you really do, you love them so much. And sometimes you're like, please, for the love of everything, just go to sleep. But then once they're asleep, you just miss them so much. I do have to say the one thing, okay, I say the one thing I struggle with. Obviously there's things when you go through every single stage when they're getting older. So when they're a newborn, it's a hard stage of when will they sleep? When do they need to eat? What does this mean? And then when they get older, it's what's their schedule looking like now? When do I introduce salad? So there's always hard things, but the hardest thing for me was breastfeeding. And it wasn't even my breastfeeding journey has not been horrible. Some people's is really bad, but I just feel I wasn't prepared enough for how it would go. And she was very small at birth. Ivy was only 5 pounds, 13 ounces because I had to have her at 37 weeks. Well, she was born at 37 weeks one day because I had gestational hypertension. So she was already a little small girl. And I knew that I had milk because I had been leaking. Honestly, I started leaking 25 weeks, which is not usually a good sign. But since she was so small, I did have to supplement with formula for the first 4 days of her life. And I did not want to because I felt like a failure, immediately. I'm like, my body's supposed to do this for her. I feel like a failure. And my main worry was a lot of people had scared me saying that once their baby had to be supplemented with formula, they never wanted to be breastfed again. And so that's what I was afraid of. I didn't want to introduce the bottle because I had heard of the nipple confusion. But luckily for me, that didn't happen. So I was syringe feeding her in the hospital when I had to supplement with the formula. And when we went to leave, they're you can't leave with her being fed from a syringe. So we gave her a bottle and she did completely fine switching from breast to bottle. So that was very good, but I know not every baby's like that. So I think for the next one, I'll still be a little bit worried about that. But she would never latch on me at night because she was just so small and she was so tired that we had to wake her at night, but she did not want to. We would have to wake her every 2 to 3 hours on the dot. So the first a month of her life, we didn't get more than 3 hours of sleep just because she was so small and we had to get her back up. And at night she would not latch because she just would fall asleep. So we had to give her formula. And then once my milk came in on day 4, it came in enough to pump. I would pump at night so that she could have that bottle. It was just so crazy. And then finally at 1 week postpartum, I was so tired in the middle of the night that I just tried to latch her and she latched. And then we barely used bottles after that, which was very nice because it's a lot to I give props to any mom out there that does pumping and nursing consistently, because having to nurse her and double feed, because it was I had to nurse her and then sometimes I'd have to give her a little bit extra in a bottle. That was hard because I feel I was always nursing or pumping and it was just so stressful. And I think for the next baby, I will not do that as much because I ended up just recently donating 100 ounces of breast milk to a mom because I have over I had over 400 ounces of breast milk left that Ivy never had, because she's never, well, she has now, but like until a couple months ago, she had not had any of my frozen milk, not until she was like 8 or 9 months old. And that's because in the beginning I was so worried about her weight, and I was so worried about like my milk drying up, that I would just pump like literally after every feeding, and then it made me produce like too much milk, and then I was like engorged. I never had mastitis, which like I'm so thankful for, but I was just constantly having to pump or feed, and now I have all this breast milk that if I don't use, then it just goes bad. So for the next kid, I'm definitely not going to be pumping that much. And honestly, I hate pumping with a freaking passion. Some people love it. I hate being connected to like the wall. And when Ivy was like a newborn, and I could like barely hold her because like the pump's on, and she'd be like screaming while I'm trying to pump. Like it was horrible. I would like not want to do that again. I think with the next baby, I'd probably use the Haka more. I did not know how to use the Haka with Ivy very well, so I never really used it, but I would definitely use that more. And then I feel like I was always afraid that one day I'd wake up and my milk would just be like gone. And obviously like I had to do a lot to keep my milk supply. I was drinking like a body armor a day. I was drinking so much water. I was making like oatmeal bars. I was like doing everything that they say, like flax meal. Like there's a bunch of different things that I did. I didn't do like any of the weird like sunflower, I don't even know how you say it, like lecithin or something, because that has been like not proven, but like sometimes it can dry you up even more. And then there's another one that I'm forgetting, fenugreek or something, that I didn't try like any of those like crazy things. I just did like oats because that seemed to help me, but I was not an over producer by any means. And I feel like a lot of times I would like compare myself to other women who are like, yeah, I have like 600 ounces in the freezer at like 4 months postpartum. And I was like, oh. And when you do just solely breastfeed, like the one very negative thing is you don't know how much they're getting. So like if you do pump, it's like, okay, well, I just gave her a 3-ounce bottle, so I know she got 3 ounces. But like when I was nursing her, I'm like, I don't know. She has wet diapers, so that's a good sign, but I had no idea how much she was getting. And then another thing that like really frustrated me, and to this day frustrates me, people do this all the time, they would always talk about how small she was, and that would just like hurt my feelings, because like when you're solely breastfeeding, after those like 4 days of like her being like coming home from the hospital and needing formula, she has never had another bottle of formula ever. So it's just been my breast milk, and now like we mix almond milk in with her milk, which I'll explain more about that. So it's just been my body providing for her, and people are like, she's so tiny. It just feels like my body is like failing. And I know other babies are like so chunky, and she's only like 19.6 pounds right now at almost 1, but she's like a happy, healthy girl. And I feel like I just need to ignore people that are like that. And I'm sorry, this is like turning into all breastfeeding, but I feel like that's like the biggest thing that I've experienced in the first year of motherhood. And I feel like there's other moms that probably can like relate to this, or are about to give birth and maybe don't know the best like plan to have. And obviously it's different for everybody, but it's just been the biggest part of like my motherhood journey this far. But I feel like every single month I was just worried that she wasn't getting enough and that I would just dry up. And so I just pumped so much and then never used it. So it just feels like such a waste. And I'm like, will I like stop pumping for the next one? Because maybe I'll still be afraid that my milk supply will go away. But I feel like for the next baby, I'm gonna, which also I'm not pregnant. Like I feel like I keep saying next baby. I am not pregnant and not planning on being pregnant soon. So this is like long term, but for the next kid we have, I feel like I'll give myself more grace, especially because I've already breastfed one kid for a year. Like I'll give myself more grace if I need to supplement with formula, or if my supply does dry up. But around when Ivy was like 8 months old, I just kind of stopped pumping, because I was pumping at least like once or twice a day just to kind of like see how much I was getting, which it was kind of stupid because I have really never replaced a nursing session with a pumping session unless I'm away from Ivy, which has not been like that long. So I would just pump after I fed her, so I didn't really know how much I was getting. Anyway, and I stopped pumping at like 8 months because I was like, I'm kind of done with this. And then I started working more, so then I had to pump again, and it literally does suck. Like just now recently I've started a job where I'm like gone long enough that I have to pump in the middle of like the day, which is just nannying. I don't like actually like work at like a place. But I don't really bring her because it's just easier to not bring her. So I've had to pump, and it's literally terrible. I hate having to like clean the pump and like pour the milk in the bottle and like all the stuff and sit there, and it's just, I don't like it. But I'm planning, I actually don't know how to wean. Like I have no idea what my plan is for weaning. I told Garrett originally that I was gonna be done right at 12 months, and I am not even planning on how I'm gonna wean. So I don't think we're gonna be done at 12 months. I think we'll be done at 13 or 14 months because I haven't had any plan set in place up until like a week or two ago. Ivy was still eating every 2 to 3 hours. And I think that's because I have always had her on a schedule, which that's another mother like tip for me. Schedule, but also flexibility, because I've always had her on a schedule. I have never waited until she's like screaming, crying to be like, maybe she's hungry. It's always been like, I've offered her myself every 2 to 3 hours, and she's always eaten. Like it's not always like a 20-minute session. Sometimes it's 5, 10, 15 minutes. But recently I've tried to up it from like 2 to 3 to 3 to 4 hours, because I'm like, okay, girl, you are eating 3 meals a day and you are also drinking water. So you definitely don't need this this many nursing sessions. I think she was just using it as like comfort, but I've always just had a schedule for her. And now I'm trying to like figure out, okay, I think once she turns a year old, like a little bit later, probably give it to 13 months, I'll start just nursing her like morning, midday, nighttime. And if I'm at babysitting for any of that time, I'll skip that middle feed. And hopefully I will be okay and not in pain, because I don't really want to have to do like the cabbage leaves and peppermint and all this like crazy stuff to dry up. I'm just kind of hoping it happens naturally. So fingers crossed that's not that bad. But breastfeeding was the biggest struggle for me. And like I said, like I still produced. I obviously have almost made it a year and I'm still producing. I definitely am. I'm not drying up, but I'm making like half of what I used to make because she is eating so much food, but that's just natural. So I'm trying not to stress about it. And when I do babysit or teach dance or anything, I'm now adding almond milk into her bottles that I leave for her. So it's like half breast milk, half almond milk, because eventually I want to just like have her on almond milk. And the reason we're not doing a whole milk is because she has very bad eczema, especially when she eats things like yogurt or cottage cheese. Those are like the things we've tried. That's why I'm saying that. Or anything that has a lot of dairy in it. So I'm not going to really do regular milk, especially because Garrett is also lactose intolerant. So we're going to try almond milk, see how that works for us. But my mom was like, she's a nurse practitioner, she's like, you don't really have to worry that much if she's not drinking tons of almond milk, because I'll put it in like a cup for her for breakfast or lunch, and she like drinks like 3 or 4 sips and not the whole thing. So I was kind of worried about that, but my mom's like, don't worry about it. And I think once I've weaned around like 13ish, 14ish months, I'm gonna do like 1 or 2 bottles a day with the frozen milk I have, if she'll take it, of breast milk mixed with almond milk, because of the antibodies that are in it, to keep her healthy, because I'm so scared of her getting sick. It's literally one of my biggest fears. She's been sick a couple times, but never very bad. So I'm like, I don't want her to get sick. So I might continue trying to sporadically give her breast milk until 2 years old, but I don't know if I have enough to do that. So even if maybe if she has like a little bit once a week, then she will have antibodies, or I'll just save some for like when she's sick. So we'll see about what happens with that. And I know I mentioned schedule, and for me a schedule was important. Like every nap time, I still have like the Huckleberry app, and I don't even pay for the subscription you can, but when I had her and the doctors were like, you have to like mark down each feeding, and they gave us a piece of paper, I was like, there has to be an app for this. So I found the Huckleberry app, and it is really nice. Like if you want to pay for the subscription, it will give you like the sweet spot, which means like when they should be going down for a nap. But I literally like mark down everything. Like I've kind of stopped doing diapers. I'll kind of do diapers if I remember, and I also stopped doing solids, because I was doing solids in the beginning. I would mark it down so that I knew like if she had a reaction to something, what I had given her. I don't write it down anymore. She just kind of eats whatever every day. And so the main things I write down are sleep and nursing. So I've always just kept this log, and I know exactly like when she's eaten last, so I know if she is getting upset, what she needs, and if she's getting tired. And I'm very like adamant about like, okay, we're paying attention to when she needs to sleep next, because I'm not having her be overtired and then like not sleeping good. But also flexibility, because we are pastors. Well, Garrett's pastor. I am a pastor, I just don't work as one right now. And so we're at church all the time, and on Wednesdays especially, we have a service at 7, yeah. And we don't usually get out till like 8:15 or 8:30, so her bedtime is like messed up, and she usually falls asleep on the way home. So when I say like schedule, I also mean flexibility, because a big thing that I think helped me not get postpartum depression, well, I think I had it a tiny bit, because in the beginning we didn't live near family, so I think I had it a little bit just because we didn't have any family close, and I was very sad about that. But another thing is like, we did not like change our lives for her schedule. We've like changed her schedule for our lives. Like, she needs to fit into our schedule, and we need to be able to like take her places. We shouldn't be like sitting here every single day like, oh well, she naps from 2 to 2:30 or whatever it is. So we've kind of just like, okay, you go where we go, and it might be tough, but this is how life is. And we're very big on like, we take her everywhere with us. Like, we have a sitter, like obviously my mother-in-law and my sister watch her right now, and it's only for like church events or when I'm working, and Garrett's like working as well. So we don't just like leave her with people and do things, because we're very big on like family things, and I kind of just want to be with her 24/7. I'm just so obsessed with her, and I love her so much, and I thought I'd be like more overwhelmed with her. And there have been times, like there are days where I literally get so overwhelmed with her if she's like very cranky or just like wanting to be attached to me all day, that I'm like, okay, someone needs to watch her. I need to go out because she's driving me crazy. But recently, now that she's getting older and can kind of tell us more of how she feels or what she wants, I have not been like as overwhelmed with her. But give yourself grace, because you're always going to be overwhelmed some days. And also, you don't have to feel guilty like I do to leave your kid. You can leave your kid with a trusted family member or a sitter. But I just feel like I have mom guilt. Like, I have mom guilt hard. Not every mom, I've talked to mom friends, and not every mom experiences what I have. Like, some moms love going to work and don't feel bad about leaving their kid. I feel horrible. I'm like, we need the money, but I also feel bad leaving her, and I get super sad. So I know that's not an every mom thing, but I just feel guilty about like everything I do if I'm away from her, and I probably should work on that before the next kid. Also, you can become the cringy mom. I'm the cringy mom. People on social media probably hate me now because I'm always sharing her, like, which some people hate, whatever, you do you. I share Ivy. I'm very selective of what I share. Like, I'm not sharing like her not wearing a shirt, or like, I don't know, just like weird things where it could be seen as inappropriate, or people could like take it and use it inappropriately. But I do share pictures of her. I don't really share videos of her that much, but my Instagram and Facebook are just like, my stories are just full of cute pictures of her, and I love dressing her up because that is so cute. Originally, when I got pregnant, I wanted a boy so bad, and then I kind of thought it was a girl. So when I found out it was a girl, I was actually like so excited, because I'm like, I get a little bestie and I get to dress her up, and then we get to like go to Target and have cake pops. So it's literally so fun. And she's my twin. Like, she looks identical to me. When she was born, she looked just like Garrett, and now she's literally my twin. And she's just like so sweet and so perfect. And she just started giving hugs, and it's like the cutest thing ever. Like, every single stage, I'm like, oh, I love this stage. Like, I did not like the newborn stage. It was not for me. But I think next baby, it'll be different, because I had a lot of like pressure of like, I shouldn't hold her all the time. I need to put her in her own bed. I need to like let her soothe herself. With the next baby, I'm wearing them 24/7, because we don't need screaming babies. But I hated that stage. But every stage since then, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite stage. But just seeing her personality come out. Sorry, I'm looking at her on the monitor. She's sleeping. Just seeing her personality and seeing how sweet she is. And I was able to work in nursery at church yesterday for the first time, and seeing her play with the other kids is so adorable. and she's just such a cute little kid. And I cannot wait to keep watching her grow up. I was like crying the other day because I'm like, we'll never get to experience her as like little baby again, but you just have to live like each moment, and you have to like live in the moment and not think of like the future. I feel like in the beginning I was so like, oh, if we can just get through this month, or oh, once she's like 6 months old, this will be easier. But you just have to live in every moment, even when it's hard, because you'll miss that stage. And I remind myself that every single day when it's like messy or she's just acting like crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna miss this one day when everything is silent and my kids are grown up. So I'm just trying to live in the moment, and it's so sweet. And I just probably will be crying for the next week because I cannot believe she's about to be 1. Like, I feel like I just went to the hospital to have her, and now she is like a toddler, and she started walking like right before she turned 11 months old. So she's literally a toddler now, and it's so sad. Anyway, sorry for like the ramble. I just felt like we're about to enter into some videos of like her first birthday and stuff, and I didn't have anything but like any content planned for today, so I was like, you know what, I'll just sit down and talk about a couple things about motherhood. And I feel like I didn't explain it very well other than the breastfeeding, but being a mom is just so great, and it is so tough. And any mom out there, you are so amazing no matter how you feel about yourself. You are the best mom you can be to your child, and they don't know any different, and they literally are obsessed with you. They love you so much. So give yourself grace. It's not always easy, but one day you'll blink and they'll be 1, or if your kids are older than that, then next thing you know, they'll be out of the house or married, okay? So let's just all cry about that. Well, if you're still watching, thank you, because I know I'm a little crazy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're a mom, give some other moms maybe some encouragement in the comments, and stay tuned for our next couple of videos because I'm sure I'll cry in them. It'll be her birthday party and then her birthday, and I'm so excited, but at the same time, I'm so sad. But anyway, see you in the next video.